count the crowd, knowing that each individual in the crowd is a precious, unique soul that's come to the world for a purpose and a divinely centered purpose. And for that, you need to admire each one.
Go to our website, which is HebrewLearningCircles.org. Go to Jewish Resources, scroll down to Parsha Videos, and you'll find the source sheet right there.
Here we go, Parashat BaMidbar, Numbers chapter 1, and we are on chapter 1, verses 2, 3, and 4. Et rosh kol adat b'nei Israel. Take a census of the whole Israelite company, lemishpachotam leveit avotam, by the clans of its ancestral houses. B'mispar shemot kol zachar legulgalotam, listing the names, every male head by head. And you can see that there's a whole census is being initiated. The next verse goes like this: Miben 20 shana v'mala, kol yotzei tzava. You and Aaron shall record them by their groups from the age of 20 years up. Tifkedu otam v'tzivotam ata v'Aaron. And the last verse, verse 4, ve'itchem iyu ish ish la mate ish rosh lebeit avotav hu. Associated with you shall be a participant from each tribe, each one the head of its ancestral house. It's pretty specific. Now, you may think that this is just a simple logistical kind of management of the people as they're getting themselves organized in the desert and ready to wander through the desert. And the Izhbitzer is going to take us deeper. And he asks, is there a deeper meaning to the census that Moses and Aaron were instructed to take? Why does the Hebrew word for census, which is naso, or take a census, se'u, also mean to raise or to elevate? Is there a deeper meaning there? What counted more, had greater value? The counted collective, in other words, a result of how many people are there, or each individual being counted? And that launches us into his very beautiful commentary here. He starts by quoting most of the three verses. Se'u et rosh v'chulei, count the heads of the people. Tifkedu otam v'tzivotam ata v'Aaron, you and Aaron. So pay attention. The instruction here is not to only to Moses, but to Moses and Aaron. It's a collaborative effort of you could say the two branches of leadership. Aaron is the priestly leader, or he leads all the ritual, all the relationship with the people and the higher power. And Moses is the teacher, the symbolic leader, and also the chief leader. Obviously, Miriam, their sister, is also the leader of women, but she is not referred to here in these verses, nor in the commentary. And he's going to refer to the fact that it's not only Aaron and Moses, but also a leader from each tribe. So that's the committee. That's the census committee. And the question is why? And the Izhbitzer will say, Inyan nesiut rosh haya kfi ma de'ita b'Gemara. Says we can understand this census, this lifting, literally lifting up of heads, we can understand according to what's brought in the Gemara. And he's going to bring us a quote from the Gemara. Before I continue, I just wanted to say he's also already hinting to the imagery of the metaphor that's used here for census, which is to lift a head. Imagine each head of the people is being lifted, bringing into focus, into view, right? There's the counting light gets shown as of shining the light on upon each head of the people of Israel 20 years and older. And he brings the Gemara here from Masechet Brachot, the tractate of Brachot, page Nunchet 48. Ein da'ato shel zeh domeh l'shel zeh. And the Gemara there says, in the context of discussing the meaning of a bracha that was to be said when you see a congregation of the entire people, Hashem Yitbarech chalak lekol echad tova v'chaim, because the Holy One, blessed be, has bestowed to each individual amongst Israel goodness and life, b'fnei atzmo, that's unique to each one. Ve'ein echad domeh lechavero. So the allotment of one is not cannot be compared. Is never the same as somebody else. God gives every person something unique to them. Al ken ne'emar, and in fact, if you want to look up the Gemara, I have it in the source sheet. It's at the bottom. And the bracha here is Baruch Ata Hashem Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Chacham Harazim, who is the wise in mystery, who knows all secrets, is another way to translate that. So, and the Gemara basically here is saying that when God looks at the people of Israel, he does not see one blob of many people, all Jews, but he sees a collection, a congregation of very unique individuals who are each different. No one is the same as the other, and knows each one. He knows the secret, unique quality of each one. Al ken ne'emar su'it rosh. That is why the Torah is saying, lift the head, as a metaphor, an idiom for take account, take a census. Hainu sheta'amdu kol echad al makom hashayach lo. Meaning that each person should occupy the unique place that belongs to him or her. So lift each person and place them, as it were, in their unique placement. And through this, each person will then occupy his or her place with his or her own flag and lift it up to the maximum position that is appropriate for him or her. And what the play of words that midugal means flag, further on in the parsha, after connected to the census, after the census, what is described is how the tribes were organized when they camped, and each tribe had their own flag. In other words, they were clearly marked. It was clearly known. And he's kind of projecting that, applying that to each individual. Not only each tribe has its own flag, but each individual, as it were, has his or her own flag because they have that special quality gifted from above, from the Creator. V'alken ne'emar, ata ve'Aaron. And furthermore, that is why it says, you, Moses, and Aaron, both are responsible for the census. Ki Aharon hu neged chayalin de mishkana, hainu avodah, because Aaron represents those who were, which is chayalin, as of soldiers, but I'd say those whose duty was in the tabernacle, referring to worship. Moshe hu neged chayalin de oraita. And Moses represents those amongst the people whose duty had to do with Torah or with study of the Torah. So obviously you can see that the Izhbitzer's perspective here is about how the people are divided on a spiritual, the spiritual mission and the two main qualities that or two main categories in fulfilling that spiritual mission. So we have the part of the mission that has to do with worship. At that time, it was mainly sacrifice. Today, it's mainly prayer. Prayer substituted sacrifice, and then you have those who are focused on study and teaching of Torah, of the wisdom and the instructions of our people. And just to say that he takes this from Pirkei Avot, where it says, Al Shloshat Dvarim Ha'olam Omed, the world is established on three things: Al Torah, Al Avodah, Al Gemilut Chasadim, on the Torah, on study Torah, on worship, on the divine service, and on deeds of loving kindness. Though here he leaves out the loving kindness. I don't know why. Maybe just because it's referring to Moshe and Aaron. And if I was the Izhbitzer, I probably would have brought in Miriam, perhaps as representing the third leg of acts of loving kindness, but I digress. ובשני אלו, היינו תורה ועבודה, נכלל כל החיים של ישראל. And in these two categories, Torah and divine service, that covers the entire purpose of life of Israel. So you can see that his perspective is very essential. He's going right to the essence. What is this about, right? Why Israel? Who needs an Israel? Ve'itchem, now he continues, here this is the third element in the verse, Ve'itchem iyu ish lemate. And he brings this quote, with you will be a representative or a leader from each one of the 12 tribes. Remember, that's the committee. Lefi shehanasi haya yodea, why a leader from each tribe? Why not somebody who has the skill for counting people? But here it is a leader, a chieftain from each tribe. And he answers, because a leader knows which, for each individual in the tribe, what is his or her unique place, meaning the divinely unique gift that enroll and place in the tribe. Ki im yachlif echad makom echad ein matzav hashevet b'shlemut, because if any two people switch and are acting in the capacity of somebody else, the tribe is not whole. Listen to where he's going here. He's not talking about the technicalities, the logistics of a census. He's talking about the importance of counting each individual person for who he or she is essentially by divine quality. And it's the leaders who know their people best and know what that is for each person, according to him. Derech mashal, מי שנודע פרדס, בסדר נאה. And as a parable to support this, and he's going to base this on a quote from, I believe, Yeshaya, the prophet Yeshaya. You'll see in a moment. So the proverb is that imagine somebody who plants a garden in a very particular order, where each plant has its place in the garden. I'm thinking, for instance, now this is coming forth in the practice of permaculture. It's an ecological kind of agriculture where, as opposed to monoculture, you plant different species of plants together in what's called guilds because they support one another. The qualities of the plants make for a wholeness because one plant repels the insects, the pests of another plant, and they, their different processes ecologically support the growth of everybody in the guild. And he's talking here about something of that that system as a metaphor, that every plant in the garden has its very specific place. So if a person was missing one of the plants in the guild or replaced one plant with the place of another plant, apparently the garden would not be whole. And Israel are considered the glory, the glorious garden of God. Right? So what's the takeaway? Where is Izhbitzer going? What is he reminding us? What about the deeper purpose of a census, of accounting, and the intentionality for counting and the way the counting is done? What does that teach us about perhaps the people who are being counted? What does that say about the people of Israel, their mission, their relationship with the higher realms, their relationship with one another, aspirationally, ideally, and for us? What does that say about you and I as members of the Jewish tribe? The piece that is most inspiring to me is that there's a danger when we count the masses, that we focus on the masses instead of focusing on each individual. This reminds me of Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach, may his memory be of blessing, who was known as a singing rabbi, and he would play huge concerts all over the world. And whenever he came to a concert or to a gathering, sometimes there were smaller gatherings, bigger gatherings, he would go into the hall and greet as many individual peoples, would shake their hands, say hello, smile, move on to the next person. But with each person, he was fully present. I actually experienced that once, being outside of theater in Haifa, my hometown, when I was a young man, and he came to play a concert in the big auditorium up on the Carmel. And I happened to be out there. I wasn't even going into the concert. I was just hanging out. There was a lot of people waiting, and he arrived and walked in through the front entrance to the hall, and he attempted to greet every person who was out on the patio, on the space in front of the concert hall. And I was one of the people who I was completely surprised. He looked me in the eye deeply, and he says, "Brother, hello, how are you?" And shook my hand with such warmth. And I was confused because I thought that he knew me from somewhere. And I just couldn't, I didn't know who he was, like mistaken identity. But it turned out that this is how he was. Whenever he came to a group, to a crowd of people, he attempted to connect individually, even for a moment, with full presence, with as many individuals in the crowd as he could. And then when he went up on stage, he was not singing to a crowd. He would be singing to individuals that he had met and made contact with. And I think what the Izhbitzer is pointing out is that don't fall into the trap of managing a census as if it was a logistic feat, but count a crowd knowing that each individual in the crowd is a precious, unique soul that's come to the world for a purpose and a divinely centered purpose. And for that, you need to admire each one. When you're counting a census, a crowd, you're actually counting and raising, elevating each individual to the highest heights of their capacity and capability and destiny. And that is a reminder to all of us. That is inspiring. With that, we're going to conclude today. Thank you so much for learning together. May you be elevated and rise to fullest capacity of your unique purpose. May you take joy in that and be energized and revitalized, enlivened by it. Shalom for now. Come back for more.
Today, thank you, everybody. Again, click subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything. We really appreciate that. Like to have that extra layer of connection with you. Like and subscribe. Come back.
Lo yuklu